Welcome to the Tuesday, September 10th, 2019 regular business meeting of the East Bay MUD Board of Directors. The Planning Committee met earlier today and will report what they discussed under item 16 towards the end of our meeting. Madam Secretary, if you could call the roll. Great.
Directors Coleman.
Present.
Katz.
Present.
Lenny.
Here.
McIntosh.
Here.
Mellon.
Present.
Patterson.
Present.
President Young.
I am here. And with that, we will move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have one presentation.
All right. Thank you, President Young. We've had a series of awards that we've been able to share with the board in recent months. This award is for receipt of the National Association of Clean Water Agencies NACWA award for the district's Platinum Peak Performance. And we received the award at NACWA's annual summer conference. The Platinum Award recognizes wastewater agencies who have achieved 100% permit compliance over a consecutive 5-year period. The Platinum Award status continues when 100% compliance is maintained beyond the initial award period. And this award represents the 14th consecutive Platinum Award for the district and celebrates 19 years of perfect permit compliance at the main wastewater treatment plant. This translates to roughly on the order of 7,000 days or 10 million minutes of perfect permit compliance. And the award speaks volumes about how employees in the wastewater department have demonstrated the district's values of stewardship, integrity, respect, and teamwork in a very tangible way, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for the last 19 years. As we all know, the wastewater never stops flowing. It takes collaboration from everyone to achieve this milestone, and we have representatives from the department here today to represent the entire department, including Sue Burke, Senior Chemist, Maura Honorins, our Wastewater Treatment Division Manager, Cheryl Franklin, our Wastewater Shift Supervisor, David Golick, our Instrument Technician, Eric Jorgensen, Senior Construction Inspector, Adam Kern, Wastewater Control Representative, Kenneth Lewis, our Plant Maintenance Mechanic, Deborah Mapp, Wastewater Control Inspector 2, Robert Molina, Chemist 2, Jenny Tran, Associate Civil Engineer, and Ruben Rodriguez, Wastewater Plant Operator 2. And we have with us today President Young, who has a strong interest, obviously in everyone in the organization, but also in the wastewater department and this issue. And so together, join me in congratulating the wastewater department for a job well done.
As someone who has worked on Bay water quality issues for most of my life, I mean going back to age 12, I very, very much appreciate the care and attention and diligence that you all have taken to make this happen. And this is not as heavy or flashy as some of the other awards that we get, but I think what you've done speaks for itself, so congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you again, everyone. Nice work.
Okay, we have no announcements from closed session. I do have several speaker cards, and if there's anyone else here to make public comment, please fill out a blue speaker card and bring it forward. First up, I have Stanley Bull. Thank you, Mr. Bull. If you could say your name and where you live, and you have 3 minutes. And just so you know, the board is not really able to respond to your concerns because it's not part of the agenda. But please let us know what's on your mind.
My name is Stanley Bull. I'm from Hercules. And I wanted to bring to your attention the rigidity of the qualification parameters for bill adjustments. 10 years ago, I had a line installed to my back fence because beyond my fence, I had about 25 feet of undeveloped land with a lot of brush, and I wanted to have water close. So when I called, I found a leak, and so when I called to get the adjustment, they said I didn't qualify because I used the same amount of water as last year. Well, last year I had another leak from the meter to the house, which is a totally separate incident. So because of that, I think it's a little unfair that it's compared to last year's numbers when it's a totally different incident. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, well, I'd be happy to have you get in touch with Andrew Lee, standing behind you. Raise your hand, Andrew. And he can talk to you about your situation and see if we can work something out.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, modeling brevity and getting to the point. I like that. Next up, Yvette Rivera.
Thank you, Board. I provided every board member with a copy of the documents that I am going to be referring to right now. Last year, at the September 11th meeting, I petitioned the board for equal treatment, equal rights, and equal pay, and I provided the board a copy of my 2017-2018 appraisal and the comments that I attached to my appraisal, which included retaliation in that performance year. In today's meeting, attached to this cover memo is my 2018-2019 appraisal. Please note, well, Exhibit 1 is the appraisal that I signed, and on that appraisal, I wrote in the signature section, I'm signing it under protest, see comments on pages 2 and 3. So on Exhibit 1, first page is the appraisal, 2 and 3 are my comments. When I asked the administrative assistant to provide me a copy of the appraisal that was filed in the confidential file, it turned out that on Exhibit 2, somebody used, well, I'm going to say the person that initialed the changes used a marker or Sharpie to change the page number of my appraisal. And on the first page wrote 1 of 1 instead of 1 of 3. And that was before the manager in the next level signed it, so I don't even know if the manager in the next level saw it. So I have concerns about just employees, wanting to write a comment. My unit refers to a procedure that you have to follow before you write comments, but the procedure says you may do certain things in order to have a comment added to your appraisal. It doesn't say you must. And the last thing is Exhibit 3 is the percentage of times I received exceptional and exceeds expectation ratings before and after I filed discrimination and equal pay complaints with EEO and DFEH and in court. And before I filed complaints, I received about 88% exceptional and exceed expectation ratings. And afterwards, actually, in this rating, I received no exceptionals, and 25% exceeds expectations, and 75% meets expectations. I just wanted this to be part of the official government record, and also maybe somebody needs to talk to managers about not censoring employee comments that pertain to that appraisal year. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, do we have an order that these need to go in? No. At all? No. Okay. These are both, these are for agenda item 12, so I'm gonna leave this. Oh, wait. Sorry, didn't see that. Okey doke. Next up, we have the consent calendar. There are 10 items on today's consent calendar up for consideration. Are there any items that any member wishes to have pulled on consent?
I'll move 1 through 10.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded to adopt items 1 through 10 on the consent calendar. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounded like everybody said aye. So that's adopted. Okay, on to determination and discussion. Item 11 is to authorize a 3-year option agreement with the San Leandro Rock Company. Are you gonna?
And so, as the board is aware, the district is seeking board consideration of this agreement, which would allow us 3 years at a cost of $150,000 to explore the viability of purchasing this former rock quarry. It could potentially provide a location for placing district soils from pipeline excavation, and over the course of time allow for restoration of the quarry, which is adjacent to Park District and East EBMUD land, and in the future potentially allow for public access and assimilation into the open space in that area. So we just have this for your consideration. If you have further, more detailed questions, staff's available to answer.
I'm thrilled about the prospect of this personally. Any questions?
I would like to move adopting the item.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
I think that was unanimous. Okay, item 12.
Would you like me to start it off and then?
Yeah, you can start it off.
All right, I was just going to share that in June, I was approached by Mr. Manny Pontus, who is now age 94, and he shared with me that he was the original chief steward of Local 444 back in the day when it was formed. And I hadn't really appreciated until he shared it with me that the relationship between these two, or our organization, the district, and Local 444 had been in place for 50 years. And then subsequently, we heard from Eric Larson about this at a prior board meeting. So we thought, consistent with Labor Day, that we'd take the opportunity to prepare a resolution. I had a conversation with President Young in advance about this, and so I was hoping you could read it.
Sure. So I will read it, and then I think we have a couple of comments before we take our vote. This is recognizing 50 years of labor relations between the East Bay Municipal Utility District and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 444. Whereas in 1968, employees performing work in the trade, skilled labor, and field classifications voted to organize and elected the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 444, to serve as their exclusive representatives in the employees' labor relations with the East Bay Municipal Utility District. And whereas on July 8, 1969, the district and Local 444 ratified and adopted the first Memorandum of Understanding governing wages, hours, terms, and conditions of employment for employees represented by Local 444, thus marking the beginning of a long-standing relationship to promote enduring labor relations. And whereas the district wishes to recognize and express its appreciation to Local 444 and its members for 50 years of collaboration and strong labor relations, now therefore be it resolved that the East Bay Municipal Utility District Board of Directors expresses its recognition and appreciation to Local 444 and its members for 50 years of strong labor relations and significant contributions of its employees to the work of the district. So that is the resolution. We have a couple of speakers, and then I will. I'm going to take the privilege of the board, and I'm going to move it. Somebody else can jump in to second it. But first up, Marty Englander.
recognize a lot of you, so you must be doing a good job. You keep getting reelected, I guess that has something to do with it. I'm really happy that you're recognizing this agreement. I don't know, maybe agreement, but this working together type of agreement. Obviously, we don't agree on a lot of things, and that's okay, because we have a process where we can talk about our priorities, and we can talk about what we think needs to happen, what needs to change, what needs to be updated, all those things. We can talk about, we don't agree on a lot of it, believe me, I know, I've been on a couple of negotiating teams. And I was a former chief steward, recording secretary, member relations secretary, whatever other secretaries they had, the local 444 for many years. But I recognize the process, and that's what I wanted to say is the important thing, because we have a place where we can sit down and talk to each other and express our opinions and our priorities and ways that we can resolve some of the issues that come to all of us. We all have come from a different place and a different perspective, but it's important to have this process to go through. So I want to thank my brothers and sisters in Local 444 for stepping up and getting this done. And I'd like to thank the board for also, I know most of you probably weren't on the board then. A couple of you might have been, but Frank, you weren't. I know you were in HR. And we've had a lot of discussions over the years.
Yes, we did.
But
And they were good ones.
they were good ones, productive for the most part. I mean, obviously we had some that weren't, but that's the nature of the game. And that's what's so good, is that we can disagree. And that we can say, well, win some, lose some. I'll tell you, one of the things that I won, which some of you probably don't remember, when this building first got built, I came to a board meeting here for whatever reason, I don't remember at this point, it's been a long time ago, and I saw all this beautiful boardroom, fancy lights and cameras in action. There was no mission statement on the wall. And I brought that to the board's attention. The next time I came back, the mission statement was on the wall, albeit it had been changed, because the one particular item that was on the mission statement that I was really happy about and wanted to see on the wall had been removed. And that item was to provide a harmonious workplace. So I would suggest that maybe you give it some thought and put that back. Be real nice if we had a harmonious workplace. And for the most part we do, we really do. So that really is a important mission. And I'll be done because I know my 3 minutes is up. But thank you very much for having this resolution, and I really strongly urge you to pass it. Thank you.
Marty, before you leave, it's great to see you back here again. I was here when you came to those board meetings, but I had a lot of hair and it was dark.
I remember you, and also I know that you asked one of the people that's on the board at the Water District where I personally am the audience.
Right,
There's
I've heard that.
no other audience but me. I go every month.
And they keep talking about it. You say, well, East Bay Mud, they do it this way.
Well, I have said that because East Bay Mud does it in a good way in
I know.
some things, and this is a smaller
Right.
rural water company that doesn't have as much experience and has not been in business for as long. So, sometimes we can learn from each other.
Well, it's great to see you back here.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to see all of you again, too.
Thank you for all of your contributions. And next up, Eric Larson.
Good afternoon, Board. Thank you for considering this resolution. I encourage you to adopt it. I did want to note that the employees in the trades at East Bay Municipal Utility District began organizing as early as 1960. So it actually took 9 years of labor struggles to be recognized. as the exclusive representative of East Bay MUD employees in negotiation of our collective bargaining agreements. We continue to believe this is the best way to improve our working conditions and the best way to provide the high level of service that our customers have come to rely upon. I spoke to Manny Pontus today. He was the chief steward in 1969. He thinks so too. He wanted to be here today, but he's not feeling so well, but he encourages you to adopt the resolution and appreciates the acknowledgement and the work that we've accomplished together. So thank you.
Thank you. I am a firm believer that the collective voice of workers builds power, but also achieves results that make the world a better place and our communities better places, and certainly makes East Bay MUD a better agency as a result. So I'm very happy to move that we adopt this resolution.
And I would like very much to second it,
Okay.
given the fact that with Marty and others, I've been both across the table as well as here as a board member, and appreciate very much the folks we have.
Discussion. I saw Doug's hand first, and then Andy.
So I just wanted to say, it certainly makes me very proud to be part of such a large organization that is unionized. I've only worked at nonprofits in my career, and have always appreciated the labor movement, certainly in the political, as part of the political movement. But I've also come to, on a very real basis, here in the almost 20 years now that I've served on the board, to understand and realize and really appreciate what it's like to have organized labor force who keeps us accountable, who holds themselves accountable to high standards, and that provides a way of communicating and dealing with tough issues at times in a way that may at times be uncomfortable, but I think has always worked out in the end, and we've always appreciated that, or certainly I've always appreciated that. So I think this is a great thing for us to honor and pass a resolution for.
Andy, and then Director Patterson.
I'm also very pleased and excited to support this resolution here today. The existence of our partnership with AFSCME Local 2019 and 444 means that workers have a voice on the job, and that means that there's an ability to participate in collaborative discussions that we don't always agree at once, but we eventually get to an agreement. We have a collective bargaining agreement that helps make sure that we have better working conditions for all of the workers here at the district that are part of that association. And that means that workers have a voice when they spot potential safety violations. We're able to provide safer workplaces for all of our workers. We can provide better customer service for our customers. And I think those values, having a better quality of life, both in the workplace and in their daily lives, as well as having better workplace morale. We have a very long commitment to stewardship at the district. People stay in their jobs a long time, and I think there's a great value to that. So I appreciate the collaboration, bringing us great morale in our culture here. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Oh, Director Patterson, sorry.
I just wanted to join with my colleagues here on the board and share in the historical relationship that I have with AFL-CIO in this area, and from the remnants of the old New Oakland Committee, where there was a labor caucus, a business caucus, a minority caucus, all the things that kept Oakland together in the worst of times, and in the East Bay, particularly on the waterfront and in the port. I salute you guys, and I'm proud that East Bay MUD has this kind of relationship with such an esteemed organization.
I'll just make it real quick. We've not always agreed, surprised, but I do I do appreciate the fact that over the years, the evolution with 444 2019, in particular, they have been much more forefront on issues and presenting issues to staff, and then before coming right to the board, and then the staff trying to deal with it. I think that actually has allowed the ability for greater harmony and greater success. So kudos to all of you for that. Congratulations.
Okay, shall we vote?
Vote.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're good. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item 13. This is to authorize the Sixth Amendment to the agreement for the employment of the general manager. And I have a script to read. Pursuant to section 5493 sub C sub 3 of the Government Code, the Board of Directors provides this oral report prior to taking action on the salary schedule and compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits to the general manager and the general counsel listed under agenda items 13 and 14. In accordance with employment agreements with the general manager and the general counsel, the board may authorize base salary increases to the general manager and the general counsel based on annual performance evaluations conducted by the board. As such, it is recommended that the general manager and the general counsel each receive a 2.5% increase in their base salary effective September 16th, 2019. First I need a motion, we'll do motions on each item. So a motion for item 13.
So moved.
So, good.
Moved by Director McIntosh, seconded by Director Linney. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That was everybody. Do I have a motion for item 14
So
for the
moved.
general counsel? Director Patterson
I'll second
moved.
it.
Director Coleman seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That was everybody. Okay, both of those are adopted. Moving on to the general manager's report. Alex?
Well, first, on behalf of Craig and I, thank you. Appreciate those very much.
Thank you for the good work.
I have it's been a while, so I have a few items, and I'll just try to take them all in chronological order, some more important than others. Just the first is to just draw your attention to the fact that we'll be, the watershed to the Bay insert is going to be published in the paper tomorrow, and we'll be providing you with a copy, multi-page.
In the Express, right?
Yes, in the Express, and so we'll provide that to you. And that prefaces staff's and of course any board members' involvement in our stewardship of the Bay effort that happens on Saturday the 21st, where we do a coastal cleanup. So if you're interested in that, there was an info memo, and t-shirts are available and coordinate with the Secretary's office. And then we have at the next board meeting, after the meeting, we'll have a recognition event for Xantha, who's is retiring. So there'll be an opportunity to say words there.
Change the rules at the retirement board about that.
And then there's a memo in your materials about the party barbecue that is scheduled for October 4th. And then I think you're aware because there was another memo, but our Director of Engineering Construction, Xavier is to be retiring after 33 years, and we're currently in a recruitment.
Yet one more reason to change the rules at the retirement board.
And so there'll be another opportunity to vet Xavier at a point later in the fall. But those are all sort of current events that I wanted to share with you. There's a monthly report at your places as well, and also, in your materials as well. And there's also the Speakers Bureau update, and we're in the throes of the early fall festivals, having participated in 3 events this last week.
Okay.
Next, moving on to reports and director comments. The August 13th, which is almost a month ago now, Planning Committee and Legislative and Human Resources Committee minutes were included in your packets. We'll now get a report from Director Linney on this morning's Planning Committee meeting.
All right, this morning's Planning Committee, we had received information on several semi-annual and other updates. One on the annual readiness report, one on the water quality program semi-annual update, regulatory compliance semi-annual report, and about the new software replacement program for the laboratory information management system. All great reports, and we made a recommendation, took a vote and recommended support for the LIMS, or the laboratory information management system replacement. That will be on, I guess, on the next board agenda.
Working out the contractual.
Okay. Any other items for future consideration should be submitted to the general manager, and then I take director comments. Director Coleman?
Yeah, I just have a question. Last week I had an opportunity to speak to the Danville Town Council. Went off like 30 minutes with Q&A. It was really good dialogue. One of the things that was very clear, and I know we don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully it won't happen. Public PG&E power going off, but if it does, the consequences. The question was asked, what are we going to be looking at doing, this is next year, beyond leasing of $400,000 of diesel generators? Do we have anything in plan? I know it's probably early right now, but maybe the discussions with PG&E, I know there's legislation, there's a couple bills that are 2-year bills that will be dealing with some of these issues. I just don't want, I know we're not going to lose sight of what we need to do, but I told them I would get back to them in terms of what we might be looking at doing, or at least we'll be planning for the future, but we don't know what they are exactly. And one of the comments came up in terms of, we have the ability with technology, everybody has a computer, to be able to turn a generator off and on remotely. I don't know. I mean, these are some of the questions I posed them to Alex last week after the meeting. But I just think we need to have, whether it's in one of the committees or at a board meeting, an update what we're looking at doing down the road, not knowing exactly what will happen, but just planning for the worst and hoping for the best.
That would be a planning committee item.
Yeah, our intention is to assess based on experience after we get through the fire season, and come back to the board, like we did previously, a planning committee, and share what we learn and where we're headed. This isn't solely about EBMUD, as you all know, but we also need to understand what's going to be happening at the state level, more broad than EBMUD. And I did participate in a Senate, I think, Energy and Transportation subcommittee hearing, and we shared EBMUD's approach, which was well received, and suggested that they have another hearing in that same time frame, January, to gather all the experience, not just from us and others, to help inform the legislature's actions going forward. So we'll be back a few more months, and keep your fingers crossed. And it'd be good to have a little learning, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, I know that we haven't had that experience. We have fortunately not had that situation yet. We may get through the fire season without it, but I guess and I applaud staff for what you've done to get us to the point to protect our customers in the event of a power shut-off in terms of the leasing of the generators. But just down the road, we don't know what's going to be happening, and again, there's a lot of money at stake, and quality of life issues, and medical issues as well.
One thing that this is, I've had this come up actually in many conversations I've had over the last couple of months, as people have started to understand how long they might be without power, even if there's not something happening in their own area. And it strikes me that we might, as part of our calendar of workshops coming up towards the end of this year, early next year, is something that's not just about this, but is sort of, it gives the board the full overview of our kind of emergency preparedness to
dealing with these kinds of issues and resilience and adaptation to, response to, adapt to events that are happening.
All right, we have a number of workshops. We can see if a standalone is needed, or
It might
maybe
just be a 45-minute piece of something else.
fits into infrastructure or something like that.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Director Patterson?
I just wanted to commend staff. I had the unique experience of a water outage in my neighborhood. And, we hear from all the people who come, some to complain and some to say thank you. But we seldom experience firsthand. And I just wanted to thank the staff from top to bottom and bottom to top for coming out and making timely repairs, for the communication that came through describing it, for the delivery of water with special emphasis on Dell, who is impaired. I think it was a glorious experience all in all. Fortunately, we had drawn water when it first went off, but now we have an excess of water in the house. And even some of the neighbors, I used to be president of the Homeowners Association, and they all know me for being on the board. And a couple of them dropped by the house. I was able to supply them with one of the jugs of water that was delivered to the house to keep them going. So I just wanted to just tip my hat to you and say thank you so much for what you do. It brought back memories of Redwood Creek, because the water flowing down Redwood Road reminded me of when Redwood Creek used to flow down that same corridor. And it still is underground, but hats off to you, and thank you very much. And Dell sends her love and respect for you.
How long was the outage, Phil?
It was overnight, actually overnight. And they did a good job of getting it back in a hurry. The week before that, we had PG&E out, believe it or not. And so we had our unique experiences with utilities. But our staff did a much better job of communicating with the community than PG&E did. No warning, no anything, just off. And no warning about when it was coming back or anything. But they did get it back online. But our staff won again, let me just say that, number one.
And Andy, and everybody wants to say something today, so that's fine. We've got plenty of time.
I visited the district's public outreach booth at the Solano Stroll, which aligns Solano Avenue between Albany and Berkeley. Tens of thousands of people attend this annual event, and our district staff were there, and we're mostly promoting our Clean Bay outreach efforts. I think we're doing an excellent job. I did ask what were some of the most common things that our customers were asking about, and I heard that many people are asking for lead testing and are getting referred to where they can get a voucher for lead testing. So just wanted to share that feedback from our outreach booth to find out what was going on in the community.
Dr. Mellon?
So this past weekend was the Castro Valley Fall Festival, and we had the water wagon for Saturday, where it promptly moved over to the Solano Stroll for Sunday. Oh, Oakland Pride, better yet. So, and you had a good day for that. But I did want to say it was a fun day, really appreciated it. But I also want to take a moment. Castro Valley, we've been having these trucks running up and down Redwood Road. While it may not have made news here, I've been kept really remarkably up to date in a terrific fashion by Mona. And I wanted to, for the sake of everybody here, say how much I appreciate the timeliness of the information and how much it's helped me to be a better director for my community. Thank you.
I'm joining in the fun today. Yesterday, or day before yesterday, it was my great pleasure to participate in one of Oakland's growing civic events, the annual Pride Parade and Festival, which the district sponsored, and which we had our largest contingent ever participating, thanks to Joey's efforts and Eileen's sponsorship. I think we had nearly 20 employees and participating, as well as myself. We had our truck, we had rainbow things, we had sponges, and a lot of EBMUD pride. And I, for one, we had the Water on Wheels at the festival. I couldn't stay for that, but I hear it went well. We had a lot of contact with, again, a growing number of people participating in this annual event from all over the East Bay, even in competition with the Solano Stroll. And we're hoping that next year we can have many, many more of our staff participating. So you'll be hearing from different ones of us about that. So that was great fun. And thanks to the staff who put their Sunday in motion for that, and for those that staffed the booth at the festival. Oh, and the other thing I want to point out is that I have seen an uptick in Facebook posts from EBMUD and information put out through Nextdoor, and it's just been great stuff. I mean, the one about water and how to store water. I mean, I have to say, I fall victim to saying I'm planning to use my hot water heater for my backup water supply, and I will, for non-potable use. But I think telling people what kind of containers to put their water in and where they can put it was actually quite informative. So thank you for that, and thank you for the other posts that have gone out recently. Keep it up. Okay, I think that's it. Not everybody wants to say something. That's fine. All right, I think we are done with director comments. Our next meeting is September 24th, 2 weeks from today. And with that, we are adjourned.